Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers and treasure hunters. Glowing Star. Today, we're stepping into a legendary chapter of American history with one of the most iconic coins ever minted, the Liberty Wheat Penny. This small copper coin may look ordinary, but don't let its size fool you, because some wheat pennies hold stories, secrets, and values that can truly shock you. From rare mint marks to hidden errors in low mintage years, the Liberty Wheat Penny has the power to turn pocket change into a priceless collectible. Many people have unknowingly spent these coins, while collectors know that the right wheat penny can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even life-changing money. The 1952 Liberty Wheat Penny is one of those coins that lives at the edge of reality and legend, a small brown cent that many people ignore, yet collectors whisper about with excitement and curiosity. At first glance, it looks ordinary, but the story behind certain rare examples makes hearts race. This coin comes from a time when America was rebuilding its power and confidence, and every penny carried the spirit of hard work and hope. What turns a simple coin into a dream maker is not the date alone, but the rare combinations of condition, striking quality, and unusual mint behavior that can transform an everyday cent into a life-changing treasure. When people talk about the 1952 Wheat Penny from the P and S mint marks, they are not talking about common pocket change. They are talking about coins that survived decades untouched, preserved like time capsules. In extremely rare cases, collectors believe that special strikes exist with extraordinary surface quality, sharp details on Lincoln's portrait, and wheat ears that look almost alive under light. These coins appear frozen in perfection, and perfection is where real money lives in the coin world. One flawless cent can be more powerful than a bag of gold when the right buyer is watching. Many rumors surround the idea of a silver appearance on some 1952 wheat pennies, and this is where imagination meets mystery. Sometimes a coin's color, planchet error, or unusual metal tone creates confusion and excitement. When such an odd-looking coin appears, collectors stop breathing for a moment. They know that if it turns out to be an extreme mint error or an experimental strike, the value does not move in thousands. It explodes into unthinkable territory. This is how a 1-cent coin starts being discussed in numbers that sound unreal. The Philadelphia Mint, known for massive production, occasionally produce coins that escape quality control in unbelievable ways. A single off-metal strike, wrong alloy mix, or rare die condition can turn an ordinary 1952 penny into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Add flawless preservation on top of that, and suddenly the coin becomes a trophy. Elite collectors do not chase face value or metal value. They chase uniqueness. If only one or two examples exist, price stops following logic and starts following desire. The San Francisco Mint adds another layer of intensity. Coins from this mint often show different striking characteristics, and when a 1952 S Wheat Penny appears with razor-sharp detail and untouched surfaces, it commands instant respect. High-grade examples from San Francisco are far scarcer than people realize, especially those that never entered circulation. When such a coin enters a private negotiation or auction room, competition becomes emotional, and emotions push prices far beyond expectations. What truly creates the overnight fortune story is condition combined with rarity. A 1952 wheat penny graded at the absolute top level, free from marks, stains, or wear, becomes something almost mythical. At that level, the coin is no longer just money. It is history captured perfectly. Wealthy collectors, investors, and museums are willing to pay staggering amounts for that feeling of owning something flawless from the past. That is where million-level conversations begin, not on the street, but behind closed doors. Another powerful factor is storytelling. Coins with mysterious background, a strange discovery story, or a long period hidden in a family collection gain emotional value. When a seller can prove originality and untouched storage for decades, buyers feel they are purchasing destiny, not metal. This psychological power is why some coins jump from being interesting to being unimaginable in value. The 1952 wheat penny, in rare cases, carries that exact energy. This is why collectors always warn, never rush to sell a coin like this. The worst mistake is treating a potentially rare wheat penny as ordinary change. Cleaning it, polishing it, or selling it cheaply can destroy the very magic that creates wealth. Real fortune comes from patience, proper authentication, and understanding what you truly hold. One careless move can erase a future that might have changed everything. In today's market, the idea of a single cent changing a life is not fantasy. It has already happened with other rare coins. The 1952 Liberty Wheat Penny stands as a reminder that value is hidden in plain sight. While most examples are common, a tiny fraction exists in a realm where prices no longer feel real. That is why people keep searching jars, drawers, and old collections, hoping to find the one coin that rewrites their story. So if you ever come across a 1952 Wheat Penny with an unusual look, perfect detail, or untouched beauty, pause and respect it. That small coin may carry decades of history and the potential for unimaginable reward. Sometimes fortune does not arrive loudly. Sometimes it waits silently in the palm of your hand, asking only that you recognize its power before letting it go. The 1944 Liberty Wheat Penny is one of those coins that lives at the center of myth, hope, and real numismatic drama. When people hear stories of a single penny changing a life overnight, this date is often whispered first. 1944 was a turning point year in American history, deep in the shadows of World War II, and the U.S. Mint was under intense pressure to produce coins fast, cheap, and efficient. That pressure is exactly what created the rare mistakes and legendary varieties that collectors hunt today like buried treasure. While millions of ordinary 1944 pennies exist, a tiny handful stand apart like kings among dust, capable of rewriting fortunes when discovered. Most people don't realize that the real magic of the 1944 Wheat Penny lies not in the common copper coins, but in the freak accidents of history. Officially, 1944 pennies were supposed to be struck in copper after the one-year experiment with steel cents in 1943. However, a few leftover steel blanks from 1943 were accidentally fed into the presses in 1944. These mistakes were never meant to exist, and that is why they ignite collector passion like fire. A genuine 1944 steel wheat penny is not just rare. It is legendary, a coin born from chaos, war, and human error. Now let's clear a powerful misconception that many people repeat without understanding. The 1944 Wheat Penny is not a silver coin. It was never intended to be silver, and no regular silver wheat pennies were ever issued. The astronomical values attached to certain 1944 pennies come from rarity, not metal content. The steel versions are composed of zinc-coated steel. Yet despite lacking precious metal, they can be worth more than gold simply because so few exist. This is a perfect example of how rarity always defeats raw material in the world of elite coin collecting. When it comes to mint marks, the Philadelphia Mint No Mint mark is where the most famous 1944 steel pennies are believed to originate. These are the coins that have crossed auction blocks with jaw-dropping prices, sometimes reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in exceptional condition even higher. The San Francisco Mint also produced extremely rare 1944 steel cents, and these are even scarcer than their Philadelphia counterparts. A genuine 1944 steel wheat penny is the kind of coin that instantly turns its owner into the center of attention in any auction room on earth. The Denver Mint adds another layer of mystery and desire. While 1944 D steel pennies are debated and extraordinarily rare, even a normal 1944 D copper penny in flawless, untouched condition can command strong five-figure prices. But when collectors talk about overnight fortune coins, they're really talking about error pieces, raw metal strikes, off-metal planchets, and transitional mistakes that were never supposed to leave the mint. These are not everyday finds. They are lightning strikes in metal form. What makes the 1944 wheat penny so emotionally powerful is the fact that it still hides in plain sight. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, these pennies once circulated in pocket change jars and dusty drawers. That fuels a dream that somewhere, someone unknowingly holds a coin worth more than houses, businesses, or entire lifetimes of work. This psychological pull is why videos, stories, and rumors about the 1944 wheat penny never die. They keep hope alive in the simplest object imaginable. However, this is where wisdom becomes more valuable than excitement. Many people rush to sell a rare-looking penny for a few dollars, unaware that authentication is everything. A true high-value 1944 wheat penny must be professionally examined, weighed, magnet-tested, and graded. A steel penny that sticks to a magnet immediately raises eyebrows, but only expert verification can separate a life-changing rarity from a plated fake. One careless sale, one unverified deal, can erase a fortune before it's even recognized. The real power of this coin lies not just in money, but in timing and patience. Serious collectors and investors do not chase hype. They chase verified history. When a genuine rare 1944 wheat penny enters the market, it doesn't need shouting or exaggeration. The bidding war speaks for itself. Prices rise because demand is global, competition is fierce, and supply is nearly non-existent. That is how legends are priced, not by rumors, but by undeniable scarcity. So if you ever encounter a 1944 Liberty Wheat Penny, do not dismiss it and do not rush. Treat it like a question mark with the potential to become an exclamation point. Most will be ordinary, yes, but history has proven that a microscopic number are extraordinary beyond imagination. Those few coins remind us that fortune does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it sits quietly, copper brown or steel gray, waiting for the right eyes, the right knowledge, and the right moment to change everything overnight. The year 1956 sits quietly in the long timeline of the Liberty Wheat Penny series, and that quietness is exactly what makes this coin so misunderstood. Many people believe every old wheat penny is secretly made of silver and worth millions overnight. The truth is more subtle, more mysterious, and far more interesting. The 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck near the end of the wheat design era, just 2 years before it disappeared forever, and that alone gives a powerful historical presence that collectors never ignore. First, one important reality must be understood clearly. No regular 1956 wheat penny was officially made of silver. By that time, U.S. cents were struck in bronze, a copper-based alloy, not silver. However, legends grow because of extremely rare minting accidents, off-metal strikes, and experimental errors. These are the kinds of coins that turn an ordinary-looking penny into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. When collectors talk about unimaginable value, they are not talking about normal pocket change. They are talking about freak survivors of the minting process. The Philadelphia Mint produced a majority of 1956 wheat pennies and did not use a mint mark. These coins are common in worn condition, but in perfect, untouched, blazing red mint state, they become something entirely different. A flawless 1956 penny with sharp wheat lines, full original luster, and zero damage can command astonishing prices compared to face value. Condition is everything in numismatics, and perfection transforms copper into gold in the eyes of collectors. The 1956 Denver Mint Wheat Penny carries even more intrigue. Denver coins are notorious for subtle die varieties, weak strikes, and occasional mint errors. A 1956 penny with dramatic error, such as a double die, off-center strike, or wrong planchet, can jump from being a common coin to a five-figure treasure. These are not myths. They're the rare exceptions that fuel stories of overnight fortune changes and keep collectors searching every coin roll with hope. Then there's a 1956 San Francisco Mint Wheat Penny, the final and most emotionally charged issue. San Francisco struck far fewer coins than Philadelphia, and collectors treasure S-Mint wheat pennies for their scarcity and high grade. A 1956 S with full red color, razor-sharp wheat stalks, and no carbon spots is genuinely rare. These coins are often poorly struck, so finding a strong, clean example is like finding a diamond in dust. The myth of a silver 1956 wheat penny comes from a powerful source: wrong metal strikes. On extremely rare occasions, a penny planchet could be struck on a leftover silver or steel blank meant for another coin. If a 1956 wheat penny were ever authenticated on a silver planchet, it would instantly become a world-class numismatic event, potentially worth hundreds of thousands or more. That is why experts always warn: never clean, alter, or casually sell an unusual coin without professional verification. What truly gives a 1956 wheat penny its emotional power is its timing. It represents the final breath of an era that began in 1909. Millions of Americans carried these coins through wars, economic booms, and cultural revolutions. Holding a high-grade 1956 wheat penny is like holding the closing chapter of a long American story, frozen in metal. That historical gravity is what serious collectors pay for, not just the copper itself. Stories of people becoming rich overnight usually come from patience meeting rarity. Someone keeps a strange-looking penny for decades, dismisses as odd, and later discovers it is a rare error or top population coin. The fortune doesn't appear by magic. It reveals itself to those who don't rush, don't clean, and don't undersell. A coin sold too quickly often becomes someone else's life-changing discovery. If you believe you own a special 1956 wheat penny, the greatest mistake is panic selling. Value is destroyed by polishing, scratching, or trusting unverified buyers. The true power of such a coin lies in authentication, grading, and time. Certified examples locked in protective holders have rewritten price records again and again, proving that knowledge is more valuable than impulse. In the end, the 1956 Liberty Wheat Penny is not a fairy tale, but it is not ordinary either. It is a coin where reality and legend meet, where most examples are modest, yet a tiny handful are extraordinary beyond imagination. It may not turn every holder into a billionaire overnight, but in the rarest cases, it has the power to change lives, redefine fortunes, and remind us that sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest dreams. The 1957 Liberty Wheat Penny often lives in the shadow of wild rumors, dramatic YouTube titles, and stories of overnight billionaires. But its true story is still powerful, emotional, and deeply connected to American history. This coin was born in the final chapter of the Wheat Penny era, just 1 year before the design changed forever. When you hold a 1957 wheat penny in your hand, you're not just holding copper. You are holding the last breath of a century-old design that witnessed wars, economic recoveries, and the rise of modern America. That alone gives the coin a magnetic pull for collectors around the world. Many people claim the 1957 wheat penny is a silver coin, but this is one of the biggest myths in coin collecting. The reality is that 1957 wheat pennies were struck in copper, not silver. However, myths themselves create excitement, and excitement fuels demand. What truly makes certain 1957 pennies incredibly valuable is not metal content, but condition, rarity of errors, and historical timing. Coins from this year represent the end of an era, and collectors place enormous emotional value on final year issues. The Philadelphia Mint and the San Francisco Mint produced massive numbers of 1957 wheat pennies, which means ordinary circulated examples are common. But the story completely changes when we talk about exceptional condition coins, especially those that survived untouched for decades. A 1957 penny with blazing original luster, razor-sharp details, and nowhere can feel almost unreal in the hand, like time itself forgot to age it. These top-grade coins are where serious money begins to appear. The true kings of the 1957 wheat penny world are mint errors, coins that were never supposed to exist. Off-center strikes, dramatic die cracks, double letters, and planchet mistakes can turn an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. These errors are rare because most flawed coins are destroyed before leaving the mint. When one escapes and survives in high condition, collectors compete fiercely to own it, sometimes driving prices into astonishing territory. San Francisco Mint coins carry their own special aura. The small S mint mark tells a story of lower production and careful striking, which often results in better details. A 1957 S wheat penny in pristine, untouched condition feels like a frozen moment from history. While it may not turn someone into a billionaire overnight, it can still command serious respect and strong value, especially when paired with eye appeal that stops collectors in their tracks. What truly fuels the dream surrounding this coin is possibility. Coin collecting is one of the few hobbies where a small, overlooked object can suddenly become extraordinary. Many legendary finds began as pocket change. That hope, that quiet voice saying, "What if this one is special?" is why people search jars, drawers, and old family collections. The 1957 wheat penny sits right at the center of that dream, because it looks ordinary, yet carries a potential for something extraordinary. Condition is everything. Two coins struck in the same year at the same mint can have wildly different values based purely on preservation. A worn, brown penny tells a story of circulation and daily use. A bright, Fiery red example tells a story of survival against impossible odds. Collectors pay for that survival. They pay for originality, untouched surfaces, and the feeling that they're the first person to truly see the coin as it was born. The emotional power of the wheat penny design also cannot be ignored. Abraham Lincoln's portrait symbolizes resilience, unity, and endurance, while the wheat stalks represent growth and prosperity. By 1957, this design had already become iconic. Owning one from the final years feels like owning the closing page of a long, meaningful book. That emotional connection often pushes collectors to pay far beyond what logic alone would suggest. While stories of millions overnight should always be treated carefully, one truth remains solid. Rare error coins and top-grade examples can change financial situations dramatically. The difference between spending a coin casually and researching it carefully can be life-changing. Knowledge is the real treasure. Those who understand what they hold never rush, never panic, and never sell blindly. In the end, the 1957 Liberty Wheat Penny is not magic. It is opportunity wrapped in history. It teaches patience, awareness, and respect for small things that carry big stories. If you ever find one, don't dismiss it, don't rush it, and don't underestimate it. Sometimes fortune doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes quietly, copper-colored, and waiting for the right eyes to recognize its true power. The 1942 Liberty Wheat Penny carries an aura that pulls collectors in like a magnet, not because every coin is worth a fortune, but because this year sits at a dramatic crossroads in American history. The United States was fully engaged in World War II, metals were strategic resources, and the humble 1-cent coin became a silent witness to national urgency. When people speak in whispers about million-dollar wheat pennies, they're often really speaking about the mystery, rarity, and emotional power wrapped around certain extraordinary survivors from years like 1942. This is not just a coin. It is a time capsule pressed in copper, carrying the weight of an anxious nation and the dreams of modern collectors. First, it is important to understand the truth behind the legend. The 1942 wheat penny is not a silver coin in its normal form. It was struck primarily in copper alloy, just like most wheat cents before the famous steel cents of 1943. Yet myths grow where knowledge fades, and those myths fuel excitement. What actually creates jaw-dropping value is not silver content, but rarity born from mistakes, conditions frozen in perfection, and anomalies that were never meant to exist. In the world of elite numismatics, an error can be more powerful than gold. Coins from 1942 were minted in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver D, and San Francisco S. Millions were struck, yes, but only a microscopic fraction survived in pristine, untouched condition. Imagine a penny that never felt circulation, never rubbed against another coin, never dulled under decades of handling. When such a coin appears with blazing original luster, razor-sharp wheat lines, and Liberty's portrait standing bold and clean, it becomes something else entirely. At the highest grading levels, these coins enter a realm where collectors compete fiercely, pushing prices into astonishing territory. Then there are the errors, the true kings of value. A 1942 wheat penny struck on the wrong metal planchet, or showing dramatic doubling in the date or lettering, becomes an object of obsession. These coins are accidents of history, mistakes that slipped past quality control during wartime pressure. They were never supposed to leave the mint, yet a few did, and today they stand as unicorns in the coin world. When such a coin is verified, authenticated, and certified, its value is no longer tied to 1 cent. It is tied to desire, scarcity, and prestige. Condition alone can transform an ordinary coin into a treasure. A flawless 1942 P, 1942D, or 1942 S wheat penny in top mint state can command prices that sound unreal to the uninitiated. Collectors do not pay for copper. They pay for perfection. Every microscopic detail matters. The sharpness of Lincoln's jawline, the clarity of the wheat stalks, the untouched surfaces glowing like they did the day they left the press. This is where serious money enters the conversation and where legends begin. What makes these coins emotionally powerful is the idea that something so small and overlooked could hold life-changing potential. People imagine a penny sitting in an old jar, passed down through generations, waiting silently for discovery. That dream fuels endless searching and endless stories. While becoming a billionaire overnight is the language of fantasy, there's a real lesson behind it. Never dismiss what you don't understand. In numismatics, knowledge is wealth and patience is power. The market for rare wheat pennies is driven by psychology as much as economics. When a once-in-a-lifetime example surfaces, wealthy collectors do not hesitate. Auctions become battlegrounds, prices escalate rapidly, and headlines are born. A single verified rarity can redefine what people believe a penny is worth. This is why experienced collectors warn never to rush, never to sell raw, and never to accept casual offers for unusual coins. One wrong decision can erase a fortune before it is even recognized. If you believe you hold a special 1942 wheat penny, the most dangerous move is impatience. Cleaning the coin, polishing it, or selling it without expert evaluation can destroy its value instantly. True treasures demand respect. Authentication, professional grading, and careful handling are not luxuries. They are necessities. The difference between a common cent and a legendary one often lies in decisions made after discovery, not before it. The power of a 1942 Liberty Wheat Penny lies not in guaranteed riches, but in possibility. It represents how history, rarity, and human desire can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. It reminds us that value is not always obvious at first glance. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to recognize it and the right moment to reveal it. In the end, this coin's real magic is the way it captures imagination. It keeps people searching pockets, jars, and old collections with hope in their hearts. While not every 1942 wheat penny will change a life, a rare one truly can change a story. And that is why collectors say, never underestimate a penny, never rush a sale, and never ignore the quiet power of history resting in the palm of your hand.